So, meet Teresita Basa, a woman whose life seemed as harmonious as the piano lessons she loved to give. Born in the Philippines in 1929, she came to America in the 1960s, chasing a dream of music and opportunity. She worked as a respiratory therapist at Chicago's Edgewater Hospital, a place with a history as colorful as a tabloid headline, known for hosting celebrity births and infamous individuals alike. But Teresita wasn't flashy. She was calm, kind, and focused, splitting her time between her job, her master's degree in music, and generously teaching local kids for free. If kindness were currency, Teresita would have been a millionaire. Life was steady and quiet, just the way she liked it, until February 21, 1977. That evening, Teresita was home in her apartment, likely unwinding after work. Earlier, she had chatted on the phone with her friend Ruth Loeb for about 30 minutes. During the call, Teresita mentioned she was expecting a visitor, but didn't say much more. No big deal, right? Just a quiet night in Chicago. Until one day, or more specifically, that day. Around 8:40 p.m., neighbors in her building started smelling smoke. Thinking it might be a minor fire, they called the fire department. But what the firefighters found wasn't just smoke and flames. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare. In the wreckage of Teresita's apartment, beneath a scorched mattress, they found her lifeless body. She was discovered without clothing, and a butcher knife was still embedded in her chest. Investigators believed the fire had been set intentionally, likely to cover up any evidence. Here's the thing. Despite the grim discovery, there wasn't much to go on. Teresita's life was about as drama-free as you could imagine. She had no known enemies, no dangerous habits, and no reason anyone would target her. Investigators found one curious note among the ashes that read, "Get theater tickets for AS," but that lead didn't exactly scream case solved. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Despite their best efforts, the authorities were stuck in neutral. Teresita's case went cold. For her friends and neighbors, it was an unthinkable tragedy with no answers in sight. Little did anyone know the answers would come from the most unexpected source imaginable. Months after Teresita's case had stalled, her story took a turn so bizarre, it could have been a plot twist in a ghost movie. Enter Dr. Jose Chua and his wife, Remy, a couple from Evanston, Illinois. Remy, like Teresita, was originally from the Philippines and also worked at Edgewater Hospital. She wasn't particularly close to Teresita, just a friendly coworker. But one evening, out of nowhere, Remy began acting, let's say, different. According to Dr. Chua, his wife fell into a trance-like state while they were sitting at home. She started speaking in a voice that wasn't hers, identifying herself as none other than Teresita Basa. And here's where things get even wilder. Through Remy, Teresita claimed to know exactly who was responsible for ending her life, a coworker named Allan Showery. She explained that Showery had come to her apartment under the pretense of helping fix her TV, but instead he turned violent. After taking her jewelry, he staged the fire to hide what he'd done. Now, imagine being Dr. Chua at that moment. Do you freak out? Call a priest? He was skeptical, but couldn't shake how specific the details were. The spirit even described the stolen jewelry, claiming Showery had given it to his girlfriend. Dr. Chua wasn't sure what to do with this information, so he initially kept it to himself. But when Teresita visited Remy again, apparently upset that Dr. Chua hadn't gone to the authorities, he finally decided to act. When Dr. Chua approached the police with his story, it probably sounded like a prank. A ghost solving her own case? Yeah, sure. But the investigators were desperate for leads and decided to look into it. They tracked down Allan Showery, a hospital orderly, and questioned him about the night of Teresita's passing. At first, Showery denied everything, but detectives noted inconsistencies in his story. Then came the breakthrough. A search of his home revealed jewelry matching the description given by Teresita. Teresita's cousin later confirmed the items had belonged to her. Faced with the evidence, Showery eventually confessed. He admitted to ending Teresita's life in a desperate attempt to rob her. He had no plan, no real motive beyond greed, and the fire was his attempt to cover his tracks. Showery was arrested and charged, and the case that had seemed destined to remain unsolved was suddenly closed, thanks allegedly to a message from beyond the grave. After Allan Showery's confession, you'd think this story would have ended there. Case closed, justice served, roll credits. But oh no, the aftermath of Teresita Basa's case was just as fascinating and eerie as the events leading up to it. Showery was put on trial for his actions, and while the evidence against him was strong, the prosecution faced an unusual challenge. Much of their lead came from what was essentially a ghost story. Now, using a message from beyond the grave in court wasn't exactly standard procedure, and Showery's defense team had a field day questioning the credibility of the Chua's testimony. They argued that this so-called visitation could easily have been fabricated or influenced by rumors. Despite these arguments, the hard evidence, Teresita's jewelry found in Showery's possession, sealed the deal. In 1979, Allan Showery pled guilty to ending Teresita's life to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to 14 years in prison. 14 years. For stealing someone's life and trying to burn the evidence. Let's just say, justice doesn't always feel like it's served piping hot. Meanwhile, the story of Teresita's supernatural intervention captivated the public. It made headlines worldwide, with newspapers and magazines breathlessly recounting how a ghost solved her own case. The sensational angle drew as much skepticism as fascination. Was this a genuine paranormal event, or had Remy Chua's subconscious pieced together clues from conversations at the hospital? Maybe she'd overheard something about Showery and didn't consciously realize it. Or maybe, just maybe, Teresita really had reached out from the other side. Regardless of what you believe, one thing's certain. This case stands out not just for its tragic loss of life, but for the truly bizarre way justice was achieved. Teresita Basa's name lives on, not just as a victim, but as a symbol of perseverance, whether it was her spirit or the determination of those around her that brought the truth to light. Thanks for watching Talescape. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that blend the mysterious with the macabre and make you wonder just how much we really know about the world beyond.